okayfm 101.7.
Ras Mubarak, a former MP for Kumbungu. Na yenino entwetwe enkomono. Honorable Ras, me wan channel pay.
Hello.
Good morning,
Hey, me na me so.
Na bokode.
Ya me ado me hoye.
Oye. Na no eja wo de me.
Line na very faint. Line.
Be ba chat me nka.
Hello.
What me nka?
Okay.
Aha. Ana no eja minim se wan kom na hye dwam kura no a wo hwe nia esi wo ho. Na eto sei.
Kwa be da se ma me nchia etifo. Na no I'm say ya that Thursday, right?
Yeah, Thursday.
You know, Hesenka, you be Speaker of Parliament. Interestingly, we knew say it would be dramatic, but not as that dramatic. Na mewa huye as a Ghanaian, mewa huye as an ordinary citizen. Say abatwa ye koto a Speaker of Parliament. Na soldier for before I even get to the ballot snatching. Now soldier for it the Chamber of Parliament. Kwame, that is sacrilegious. I say sebe obi akọ masalachi ana akọ asori dem no ko yi no ho nyina make. That is how sacrilegious that act was. Now I have described it, sir. It was nothing but an attempted coup d'etat.
Oh, how?
Yes. It was nothing but
soldier for about ho no obi na omuni leader a wo spearhead ade no an say wo mu wura ho tu ne be ne ku aba.
Kwame, men in uniform, men and women in uniform, as soldier for, they have no business in the Chamber of Parliament. Okay. As a matter of fact, Parliament hokra no. Ansa na obibenya akwanya awura chamber no mo no. This is Speaker Emma no ho ekwan. And to their staff of Parliament who can't even enter the chamber if they are not authorized to enter the chamber. Chamber honum no the people's chamber. Representatives of the people honum no wotana efadwi. Na ohe constitution mo a so je adwuma no yete so je adwuma no se yes so say yemo say nsuo so say asase so asoja for na so mo boy ho bai na se ni problem for bi kura if you baby ba ye mai mu a o match na protect here. That is their business. They have no business entering the people's chamber.
Oh, but do baby na se mu ye din ase na covid ba ye num ni ade ade do baby ni maintaining law and order ye ma wo mu ebeboaye.
Kwame, we are abusing you're trying to say what the military was set out to do. Chamber ho mu ho no e dey na Asia as I say soldier for it obitimi order soldier for mo ba chamber ho e dey na
yes
Parliament itself has owura a friend of marshal no e won staff marshal no na bo Parliament ho by and the precincts of Parliament he is in charge. It's not even the police. In Parliament there were police station, but it's not even the police. The person in charge in Parliament is the marshal. The marshal now has a background or a former military officer. The deputy is a former military officer, senior military officer. They've attained the ranks of colonels. Okay? In the military. And he said, Koka Bikura AC of Mashebejuma. It's the police you call it, not the military. It's the police you call it, not the military. And that is why I say it was an attempt to subvert the will of the people. As will be akotuaba, ubi elusu, na enyenede, no person will be soldier for intimidation. Because Kwame, say NPP before, and I say as Osechi Mensah has said, or say Bambina Wene Abaton. Can you even imagine the ridiculousness of his argument? also back then and we near abandon or more a consensus to say or more to adjoin or more the map back then.
One a carry.
Oh, only chairman's Bosu, also chairman's
I'm yet to call him. My friend, wait a minute, sir.
So your friend, Mr. Majority Leader, your friend, leader of the governing party in Parliament.
Okay.
So you've heard his voice.
Son, Martin, my friend, Busan.
Very good. Now, Bisan Ho Kwame. Obia also back then when then a Carlos Echo via ballot papers. So back then when then a Carlos any to break to the extent say oko snatch ballot papers edijane. So what to about now what kunima, what would be your motivation to snatch the ballot? So now what kunim. Now what kunima, why would you go and snatch the ballot? And that argument is so ridiculous. He's an experienced politician. He should stop making those arguments. Now, Kwame, message say, whilst we are on the military, there are people discrediting Omejuma. I mean, it's very revered. Okay, so there's a lot of respect for Asujafo. Me as a young boy of 18, 19, I wanted to join the military. And I'm saying because of my height, but that is how much people love Soja Juma. In the Soja I'm paying for your best almost say, or more any investigation. Now, or more and redeem or more image, because their reputation is thrown to the dogs. And I would hope, sir, those who were involved in this criminal activity, Kwame, that's what it is, would be court-martialed and dealt with, one, in accordance with military law. I'm also hoping, sir, Parliament as an institution would trigger the necessary actions so that privileges committee, where the yes, those who gave the order, if investigations, fish them out to face the privileges committee of Parliament. Now, so she go high, they are trauma. Kwame, you know, Etina Jum, and a bedroom, a car say, Yampe, Suda, your friends say, a buying. Yet a Kabimarin Kabi.
Rajo, honorable, Mame Hakakra. Soja phone by one more must say, Abanwa 1, one more air 2, and speaker and woman yai. One more by Udim said their mission was to restore order.
And whose authority? They don't have that mandate, they don't have that authority. Kwame, can you say, if there's a cabinet meeting going on, and I said Supreme Court, the case be AC Hona event saying, young soldier for to enter the courtroom. That is how, you see, the courtroom, just as the chamber of parliament, just as the cabinet room.
Soldier for no outside the chamber. It is a question one more bromo na more yet the idea.
Why the Bruno Obi na ko we ballot papers and you chasing no.
Abo mo chasing no obi hwe suma ayi na de o wia no.
Na madam for Joe Wise. Joe Sensu, first deputy speaker. And you know o can say obi so obi akwa ballot boxes are na abonu to and then the person basically deserves. To paraphrase him, basically that is the thrust of his argument. That was the thrust of his argument. Now obi kobokro no na ye chen wo Kumasi abontenso a ananka abontenso a at least anya bia obeja so toro kakra, even though it is not encouraged. Even though we are encouraged to hand the person over to the police.
okayfm.
And what? Because Kwame, there's no justification. I know, sir, it's good with Juma. You have to play the devil's advocate, but we have to frown upon it and condemn it. There's absolutely no reason, no iota of reason for which military officers had to be in the chamber of parliament.
Now, soldier for a baho, mo condemn woman. Now, more peer be for more. A bit be now so feel a bit so I am comport to woman. And yes, someone am we a mass at trouble you ever.
No. I mean, parliament can get very, very heated. Now, the fact that parliament gets heated does not mean that tempers will not calm down. There are very, very decent men and women who have been elected from both sides as members of parliament. In Penyufo or Mokasa, among 40. There's no way it would have degenerated. Now, what Carlos did is an exception. It's an exception. Because as a foot soldier being a Korea ballot, now you tune for. Nanya as an elected member of parliament who had been who should know better.
Honorable, Menino Dinkombo, and he recounted how a series of events by a leading to an action. One was say, Sabreno, you were more to a wa parliament, wana na Muntaka, any Sam George, or Boniba Bakudi Kahu, no one mama be jimbe be a woman, a NPP parliamentarians and one, and one more hard Jenny. Baby, I quite a boot now. Could you now do set him? No more traction.
That was, you see, I'm two secret ballots. Say, whether general elections or whichever elections, parliamentary or presidential, there's will be a breaking law now. Who as a citizen of Christ, then as well. And Kwame, you know, as an ordinary citizen, you have the powers of you know to arrest anybody who's committing a crime. Citizens arrest. So police before you have the powers to arrest somebody and hand over the person to the police. And to say the selection and after election of a speaker of parliament shall be conducted in a secret voting. That's what we say, and I'm saying that this mistrust amongst the rank and file of MPP, they don't trust themselves. Because if you trusted each other, you wouldn't have compelled your members to show how they were voting in this election. And it speaks volumes to the kinds of cracks and division within the MPP, even in parliament and outside of parliament. There are times you wouldn't even agree on written agreement. And I'm saying there's some level of trust between you. But the MPP itself in parliament, they don't trust each other. Everyone is a suspect.
According to Honorable Carlos Ayenkrano, intel someone infiltrated into their camp prior to the election of a speaker.
Now, your friend is saying, as a Okobo match, Okobo football match, Kotokone has, you know, sometimes as a way of winning your game, you plan and you execute. Okay? And so be infiltrating into your rank and file. It means you are not doing the right thing. Because if you are doing the right thing, you expect your members to be very loyal to you. And I know that. And to be infiltrating into your camp, it speaks volumes. A party that had just come out of opposition, according to them, almost you're bribing some of their members. Obi I had no opposition for 4 years. Yet you can't bribe your members there. Hey, and now dear power. It was, as far as I'm concerned, members from within the MPP, and I can give you typical examples, have not been happy about the way they are running their caucus. The caucus had been run in very autocratic manner over the last 4 years. So selection of or more leadership, current crop of leadership. I mean, Chiangasa as a parliamentarian is fantastic. Afenyo, fantastic. Chief Whip, fantastic. I don't know much about the lady. The third gentleman, as a deputy whip, from within their own rank and file, they are not happy. The Omuyi as a second deputy whip. People have been in parliament all this while. Somebody comes out of nowhere. You propel him to the position of a deputy whip. So that alone angered a lot of people in their caucus. If they don't know, they should investigate. Also, what they are needing, amongst other things, as I was from now the sentiment on the ground. I mean, they had made up their mind, say, Ethiopia, they will do whatever they want. And that is the result of not listening to the people, not listening to Omoa, which it happened, that is what happens to you. So there's mistrust and distrust amongst the NPP caucus in parliament. And if they are not careful, if they are not careful, it's going to get worse.
Remember the speakership and the person of Right Honorable Abansumana Kingsford Bagby. NDC for Mubo say someone winning. Say we are kind of third most powerful man in the country. Ebi no so thinking otherwise. Papa no, so he's neither here nor there. He's a man of two works in parliament. Obey Jumano without political connotations or whatever, inclinations or whatever. It's saying
what I can tell you, this is, I mean, the choice of Bagben as a candidate for speakership was fantastic. And before even the election, I had made an argument, sir. If I were to advise the NPP caucus and by extension their party and the president, I would have told him, sir, in building consensus, a candidate they should have been putting forward should have been Bagben. That is because Bagben commands, the Right Honorable Speaker now, commands a lot of respect from both sides. That is because he's very, very, friendly. Okay? He knows the standing orders of Parliament inside out. He knows his law as well. That is also because he's a very fair person. On the the standing orders, if you get your standing orders right, he will support you. If you don't get it right, he will get you to do the right thing. Because also Bagman had been there from day one. I mean, he'd seen it all. Kwame, 28 years in Parliament. Who has that much experience in terms of the workings of Parliament better than Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman? So he was the most qualified person amongst Edia Ebabontina. And I don't know, strategically the MPP got it wrong. Because it would have been politically prudent to have suggested the name of Bagben as their candidate for speakership. That way, you are showing the way, sir. You are willing to build bridges. You are willing to mend fences. You are willing to, build consensus and get the business of running Parliament going. But unfortunately, they didn't. Metro article be just before the voting law. And I suggested, sir, the last thing Parliament should be doing would be to hold a contest for the speakership of Parliament. Yet, because that could fracture a bit me when it goes into a contest and it gets very, very bitter. But long and short, fantastic choice. He will do a good job for Ghana, and I can assure you, sir, on any day, Bagben would put the best interest of Ghana above any other consideration. That I can assure you. That much I know about him.
Okay. Now, say, my court question, I see saying.
You're there.
A court case in petition, no? What do you mean?
Sir, you're very saying MPP for the Omodiaba, Omo response aba, which basically confirms Electoral Commission the Omo response aba, which basically confirms issues that you raised. You said there have been errors, there have been mistakes of which affected the results of the election. We are hoping, sir, the best interest of the country would be put forward, and assembly said assembly. But Kwame, whilst we are on Parliament, let's say Privileges Committee, I'm hoping that, at least a member will file a motion for contempt of parliament. For near soldier for the police for the Bayer, for near Carlos Ahinkra Bayer. But insofar as the actions of the Honorable Muntaka and others are concerned, they were defending the Constitution. Are you saying that will be at the Eja public building more? Let's say, as a private citizen, are you saying that because you are not a police officer, you wouldn't stop the person from committing that crime? Is that the argument? So when we say Fenchim will be Kudibone, or a means to put on your crop from commissioning the crime because we're a private citizen. It doesn't work like that. As a private citizen, will be Kudibone as a police phone. You could equally arrest the person. Okay, and we are so happy, sir, about war in Parliament. It actually went the way it went. It is good for our democracy. Some of us have, for a very long time, Kwame, there's no clear separation of powers between the executive and the legislature. The long arm of the executive always tries to stretch into Parliament. And Kwame, you would remember this. And that is why the NPP got rid of Peter Alajeti as Speaker. Because Peter Alajeti insisted on doing the right thing for Parliament. That look, the legislature must be independent, it must have its oversight powers. If the kind of things that Peter Alajeti did, anger MPP for no or more rejected Peter Alajeti no. If they expect something different, then they probably don't know Honorable Babdi, because he would insist on the right thing being done. Just as the Honorable Peter Alajeti insisted on Parliament being a separate arm of government from the executive. And Kwame, going forward, this should also trigger some national conversation. I mean, do we really want ministers and deputy ministers from Parliament? Or be a minister and deputy from not higher MPR? Parliament is supposed to provide oversight. To say, Parliament is in terms of music and the rest of it. Will be a member of Minister for Education, Minister for Health, Minister for Agric, Minister for Defense, or your MPs so. Now, the party the idea and more or minor air bar, you think that you would actually, kick against what the party is doing? And you can't see that. So going forward, that we need to begin that conversation about constitutional reforms, amendments where necessary, so that all these red herrings are your constitution will be clear. Now, Parliament as an institution will be Parliament as an institution. Me, on any day, I support the strengthening of Parliament as an institution, and I believe that it has to be a separate, it has to be an independent institution from government, so that as a minor corner, you can actually work it out in that way.
Now, money police for some say, Moko, a electoral commissioner, Mukasa court.
Kwame, from the time I had parliamentary immunity till the time private citizen of Ghana, I'm someone to be personally, I'm someone. Now, say a male someone that you wake up and say, Oko court. From the time I was an MP to my MPP, my betting of here, my cattle family. Nobody has got me any someone. So, that particular case, I'm very confident that, it's dead on arrival. There was nothing wrong with what the my NDC MPs did then. I mean, taking a walk to present a petition does not violate any laws. And you see, it highlights, actually, it brings to clearer perspective the way some officers would want to be used by political paymasters to do their bidding. If you are in Parliament now, among for a soldier for sorry, the military and other ranks, police, they must begin to say no to political interference in their activities. Obi a penyimu na oso koya ade enya You don't go and do that because you bring the name of the institution you represent into disrepute. I know for a fact, Kwame, they are very fine police officers in uniform. Very fine. From lower ranks through to events and senior ranks. But the actions of a handful, Kakrebia NSA police, Kakrebia NSA soldier, and I'm hoping that they would seize the moment, they would use it as a unique opportunity, to do the right thing and to rebuild, especially the police, to rebuild the tattered image of the Ghana Police Service. You're more because of things like this. Or more moody bonnet, they are not going after them. Or more moody bonnet, or more say Kuno, they are not going after them. They are going after innocent citizens, harassing a few of them, harassing private citizens and the rest of it. And I don't think that is in the long-term interest of the country.
Yeah, medals are no pay.
Call me that say. Now, me esgasha no so ba me feel like that. So be there. O signing fee. Is that me no one could. Esgasha no so ba.
Mate.
Me feel say me there about.
Mate bra. Bye. Honorable Ras Mubarak, former MP for Kumbungu.
OKFM 101.7.